Captain, the 13th installment of the King of the Sea tournament is about to begin. The prize pool has almost doubled. It's $50,000 now, and the tournament winner will get $17,500. The winners of the regional stages will earn steel, doubloons, and special camouflages. But most importantly, you'll win glory. Your team will become known throughout the whole world. Broadcasts of the regional and international finals are an incredible spectacle that will keep you glued to your screen. The best players on the planet will clash in fierce battles. Moreover, viewers will be able to obtain up to 11 King of the Sea containers, a permanent camouflage for North Carolina, and a Tier 7 premium ship. Don't miss out on King of the Sea. Win a prize and become a legend.
Welcome back, everybody. We are about to get started with the final match of KOTS 13 North America 07 devastating strike up against KSC. Kill Steal confirmed again.
I just want to say that in the 10-minute break that we had, I was rooting around for some boss music that I could play. And I kind of wanted to reach for some Doom Eternal there, but somebody was suggesting the Save Your Princess music from Mario Brothers. So you could have that running in your head.
The Save Your Princess. That's the do 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 do, right?
I think that's the pulling down the flag, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the flag music.
Yeah,
Isn't that also the music when you kill the little Bowser and you save the princess?
I
don't know. Somebody get me a time machine and take me back to 1991.
I was never that good at Super Mario Brothers to actually finish it, so I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I still have my cartridge and my old NES, though. I can go try it out.
Oh, God, you guys remember when video games were cartridges? Wasn't that awesome?
It was a thing.
Like, rather than having dedicated tech support that cost money all the time, tech support was this.
Yeah.
That was something. That was something else.
Yep.
I'm 36 years old, by the way. Anyway.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah. I have a cat too, Zath. I have two cats.
Zath's got you beat, and I've got you both beat, so you're okay.
By the way, Bugs, you said you had two cats. One was acclimating to the house. The other one was kind of like, whoa, what is all this? Is your second cat warming up?
Yes, both cats have warmed up. They're happy with the new house in Texas. Yeah, they just takes them a little bit of time to get used to it. But gentlemen, we have our finalists. We've been playing for hours and hours and hours this weekend. It's 07 versus KSC. I think this is the first time that KSC has actually been in the grand finals to actually go for spot number one. 07 clearly no stranger to the top spot in KOTS, but are now showing a dominant performance after last season ending up third, still putting them into KOTS Internationals. So I don't know, Zath, if you're 07, what have you gleaned from watching KSC's play today?
Don't give KSC room to breathe. Don't allow them to think about the situation, to reset themselves, and to try to find ways in. I think that's what KSC did a really good job with, especially in their last three battles that we watched. So I think that's really the key to 07 winning is don't give KSC the chance to think about what's going on.
C-Raptor, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially you look back at that decisive game 5 on Warriors Path that we just got done with. Bonks with I think I even said it on stream at the time, a commanding lead, right? Total control of the board, up 2 ships, and yet here we are. KSC is the one winning that game, going on to the grand finals. So, I mean, I think it's a hard balance to strike, because if you put yourself in the Bonks situation right there, right? You have a 2-ship lead, you own all the caps. What do you need to be doing? You need to be not dying. But beyond that, you don't need to do anything. It's on KSC to make a play to get back into the game. And, Zach's point is don't give them time. That's reasonable. But I think in a situation like that, it's kind of like, well, the time's on their side already, in the sense of it's on them to do something. You're not giving them anything. If it's a much tighter game, This is I think the point. This is where I absolutely agree with Zach. If it's a tight game, there's 100 points apart. The caps are pretty even. You're ticking up, whatever. You're trading health very well. You can't take your foot off the gas, right? You can't take your foot off the gas pedal. You've got to keep executing your plan, focusing a target, something, because if you give these guys a break, they're going to look at their tactical analysis of the board seems to be very good. And so they're going to look at your board position and go, that's my spot. Let's do this. And suddenly you may find yourself on the back foot.
Ascons, what do you think about all that?
I think that's pretty correct. Now, I happen to know that KSC, they're going to come in with a strategy. They're going to come in with a playbook. Now, that playbook is going to have, this happens, do this happens, do that, etc. But 07 will need to identify that playbook and start to figure out what they can wedge in there, how they can divert it, how they can mess with it. Because as Zath was saying, if you start pulling off the pressure, okay, you went to play A, you went to play B, it kind of got blocked there. You start changing. You need to have the time to be able to get to that second position, to be able to bring in that D route or that different play. And when you just keep throwing on the pressure, just keep pushing, yeah, you can just push that off and keep people broken apart and then spread out. Now, that being said, I don't know if that's something 07's going to do. 07 will absolutely seize on any advantage that they can. You're out of position. There's a way in. They're going to go in. They're going to try and get a kill, make something happen. They'll push you straight off the side of the map if they can. But if they don't see something that's glaringly obvious, or you don't give them an overabundant opportunity, then they are content to play the long game and go for trades because they know that they've got long-term trading appeal. So that's something that they can wrap up, which means while they could be exerting pressure, they might not. They might allow KSC time to think about it. And it was the games before, because we saw 07 versus KSC earlier on, and 07 did knock them down to the losers bracket. We saw when it was KSC taking aggressive, forceful plays, where they weren't trying to go for the trading game, where they were going even on trades, or when they were just straight up being aggressive. We're going to do this. We're going to dislodge these people that want to go for those long trades. That's where they found their way to victory. We know what 07's going to do. They're going to show up, but it's really about what KSC is going to do. I don't know. That's how it plays out.
I agree with you guys completely, and I love that you ended it on that, Oscons, because it's like, what's 07 going to do? 07's going to show up and they're going to play better than you. That's how it's going to be. That's sort of what they do. And actually, hear me out, since our players are finally starting to filter in here, and it'll be a little while for them to get ready. Thank you again to everybody watching for sticking with us. I know that the delays in between actual games can get repetitive at times. It is for everybody, but the four of us love to talk about warships, so we're going to do it anyway. So one of the things I've noticed about how some of the top teams in this game actually conduct themselves is it feels frequently to me, I've only really been able to describe this, is it feels like some clans are left brain and some clans are right brain. And I forget which one is the creative. I think the right brain is the creative side, the left brain is the orderly. Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Somebody Google it. But what I've noticed is that 07, and I would say to a slightly lesser degree, Bonks as well, plays a very orderly, very, very calculated and specific game where they outtrade you, they outplay you, and they do not make mistakes. I have noticed, especially with in previous KOTS, Gaishu's clan, and he will oftentimes filter in other, extremely useful and good players from other clans as well into his team. That's why we just call it Gaishu's clan. They do something very similar. They do something what I would consider right brain, where they have these, I have no idea what you are going to do. And it just scares the bejesus out of me. They do these unusual, interesting plays. They bring unusual comps. I recall Gaishu bringing double Zhao, I think, in KOTS 11 or something like that. And it actually kind of worked. Yeah. Things that you would just go, I did not expect that, and therefore I don't know what to do. Therefore, you have the initiative because I'm going to wait and react to what you do. I feel like KSC over yesterday and today has demonstrated that they are going to be that clan that plays the right-brained game, where they are going to play sloppy sometimes even, where it's like, oh, they're kind of out of position, they're taking shots they're taking hits they shouldn't be taking, but they're doing something direct, especially once they get put on their heels. Then they go, okay, guys, let's make something happen. They start getting aggressive and they start securing those victories. So I'm really interested to see, now that KSC has had yesterday and today, all of today, to really work and hone and practice how they're going to go up against 07 for this rematch when 07 is not going to make mistakes.
One of the things that Ascon said, I think, really resonated with me, which was that, 07, they play the long game. They out-trade you. It's something that when we first started having international clashes in King of the Sea, that the NA teams were almost universally bad at, okay? In the sense of NA play up to that point was very cap control, very cap-centric. You push a cap, you own a cap, you fight over the cap. You win on points usually, right? The EU teams, those first about 3 Kings of the Sea that we started crossing swords with teams from other regions, the North American players were a little, I won't say shocked, maybe taken aback by the EU play style. It was much slower.
Mm-hmm.
It was more deliberate. It was more, I'm going to sit at range. You can have the cap for now. It's cool. We got 20 minutes on the clock. We're good, and they would take these trades and look for kills and pick up the kill. And then once they had maybe a small ship advantage or an HP advantage, then they would move up, or they'd wait till the 12-minute mark. And it's like, okay, well, we're down 150 points. It's time to get on all the caps now. And I think 07 over the years, they've played a lot of those kinds of matches in the international brackets. They've adapted a lot of that. They've learned a lot of lessons from those games. They've brought those lessons back to NA, and through just extension have kind of taught some of those lessons to many of their opponents over time.
And that's the great part about competitive.
I'm just going to inject a little bit of hilarity. I think chat has decided that I have parted my hair like Moses. And I've been laughing about that for the last 40 seconds, so I figured I'd just pass that along.
We do have a map rotation and ship bans if you guys want to talk about that.
I do, but I want to one up Oscons and say, at least you don't part your hair like Justin Bieber. So, woo, because that's what I have been accused of doing numerous times. So, gentlemen, Lord Zath, Sea Raptor, are you guys ready to cast the grand finales?
Let's do this,
Looking
baby.
forward to
Okay,
it.
Yeah.
we're gonna go to the ship bans, which I have a prediction.
Oh, I can tell you right now, you won't be wrong.
Yeah. So let's go to the ship bans. We'll talk about the maps. We'll wait for these fellas to get themselves ready. Oskons. Oh my goodness! Look at that, Venezia Alexander Nevsky banned. I'm shocked. This is my shocked face.
I'm not shocked about the ships, but I am shocked about Hotspot, because 07 would have seen KSC play this twice now. You would think, well, they'd actually want to fight on Hotspot, having such a good idea as to what KSC was going to do. They might literally feel, nope, Hotspot, it's a weak point for us. We're just not going to mess with it. KSC seems to have a plan. They've executed it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just let that one go. And then the other one, Islands of Ice, which I think we did actually see them play that before, twice, I think, with 07, where they had a Salem or something kind of wedged in on that Charlie cap. And it was effective for them. I'm surprised that they decided, oh, no, I'm sorry, KSC banned Islands of Ice. Okay, well, 07 did seem to have a good handle on that. So, yeah, my head was a little crossed.
I believe that Islands of Ice was in the previous matchup between 07 and KSC.
Mhm.
Islands of Ice started out as an early lead for KSC when they managed to somehow take out Eagle Lance's Ragnar early on in the game, or maybe it wasn't Ragnar, his destroyer early in the game, and yet 07 managed to just outfight and outwit them and come away with a win even from an early disadvantage. It could be that KSC's going, man, they just know that map too well, while at the same time, even though 07 has been banning Hotspot throughout this tournament, they saw KSC just completely crush teams on that map and went, I'm good.
Yeah, nope.
I'm good. Yeah. So let's go ahead and take a look. Thank you. He read my mind. He literally, Murray Draco, get the hell out of my mind. This is Bogsy space, okay? So first up, we have Northern Waters. Now, this is a match. I think this was number 1 or number 2 when KSC and 07 met before. This was an early KSC lead that evaporated because 07 took 07 took C, and they translated that into muscling KSC out of B, which has happened to KSC on numerous times. We'll see whether they learned that the BC side is actually extraordinarily important because C leads to taking B.
I do think on that one we saw earlier today, I believe that was played where KS did not overcommit to the A side. They did not go for that high value island. So it does seem that their strategies, they've got at least one or two in the back pocket. So they might be pulling something out there and keeping it interesting.
They might. Moving on after that is Trap. Trap being the map that favors destroyer play. Lots of DDs and usually the ones with torpedoes. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion that they also played this before. And that 07, this was the one that KSC took. I could be wrong. It does happen. I feel like 07 made the choice of sending a Doomsnail train up the A side from the south, up north, and it just was too slow to actually do what they needed to stop Dastard's Kremlin. No, it was that's where we saw the fantastic destroyer move by.
It was Aussie Zeus, I think. Aussie was the one who kind of reeled them in. No, there's torps. You can't turn yet. No, there's torps. But I'm going to stay close enough to keep you lit because they got a Montana here and you don't want to get shot in the face. They just yanked and reeled him all the way off to the edge of the map. It was great.
So that was Trap. I think that was KSC's win. We'll see if KSC can duplicate something like that. Again, it was not even a mistake on 07's part. It was just an incredibly ballsy and well-executed move by Aussie Zeus from KSC that let them essentially take control of the north side of that map, which meant that the 07 Doomsnail train meant nothing because it was too slow. After that, tell us about North.
So North is a
sorry, I didn't mean to catch you unawares.
No. North is a map that we've seen time and time again. Played on it with CVs, played on it without CVs. The 9-10 line is huge. We know 07 is big on taking the 9 to 10 line. And I mean, KSC is going to have some kind of way to stall that or some kind of way to out-trade that. And I don't believe KSC wins in the trades. I think they win with aggression. So if they're not going to get some kind of crazy aggression play on the 9-10, we even saw 07 or not that when KS went against Bonks, I think it was. KS had to fall back. They had to pull back to try to extend out the duration, and they did kind of win the 9-10 line, sort of, but man, it was close.
Yes,
I'm assuming KS is going to have. Yeah, KS is going to have to find some way to be aggressive, and I assume that's going to be A. And I don't know what 07 would do. Probably just kite back a little while they claim the other half of the map, but should be interesting.
And following up north will be Land of Fire. Land of Fire, I feel like, has led to some of the most interesting matches that we have seen thus far. The ACAP, again, as I'll say it one more time, with that big island in the middle, makes a staring contest that is often punctuated by someone making a YOLO play around the corner, while the CCAP ends up being a very, very slow creep fest where folks sort of just inch towards each other unless they bring a Napoli like the giant badasses that they are. We saw Bonks push a Kremlin just through the C-cap on that, obliterate the Salem that was holding the eastern flank, and then trade with the other Kremlin. Bold moves oftentimes end up with great success. So we'll see how they attempt to take the B-cap, whether they do, whether KSC continues with their habit of putting a large cruiser in that middle to support their destroyers, whether Ragnars run rampant across this map like they have so far. And that leads us to Warriors Path.
Yeah, Warriors Path. Alpha is the place where plays can be made. We've seen it happen time and time again. Sometimes it's because a torpedo happens to land. Sometimes it's because a radar just lasts a little bit longer than you intended to and you take somebody out. Or maybe somebody gets on that rock in A and just kind of like lives there a little bit too long, gets pinched. Bravo, usually a bit of a staring contest. And it's waiting until either Charlie or Alpha goes empty that you're going to get some kind of wrapping motion where anybody that's in there gets caught in there and they get a real interesting time trying to fight their way out. We got to see, I think that was like the Tide Turner game in the KSC versus Bonks match where just everything was crazy. Warriors Path was a nutty map. It's map 5, so we might not see it, but if we do, we might get a repeat performance.
Absolutely. So first game on Northern Waters. It's dropping now. Very excited. So just a reminder while we wait for the counter to tick down. Everybody in this match, along with Bonks, who fought valiantly and took 2 wins off KSC before being reverse swept, they are all going to internationals. There is nothing that can happen now that would make it so that we do not see either of these teams again for internationals representing AA. They have all already won. They all get a Capri Sun. However, this is for the orange glasses, man. This is it. 07 versus KSC for the North American Regional Grand Finals. Take it away, C Raptor and Lord Zath.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, warshippers of all ages, welcome to the North American Grand Final of King of the Sea 13. We are proud to present, this is 07, back once again in the big finals, trying to reclaim the champion title that they are well familiar with here on NA. Spawning on the north side of Northern Waters, they are bringing double Ohio, triple Moskva, Gearing, Daring, Marceau, and Ragnar. Zath, what is KSC up to at the bottom end of the map?
Well, KSC coming to this particular dance with a Kremlin and an Ohio. As far as their cruisers are concerned, double Moskva, a Des Moines, and a Wooster. So I think we're seeing the Death Snail already starting to show up again. This time they're heading towards Charlie with Flow Ops' Gearing and Marceau and Daring rounding out their roster.
We've seen KSC play Northern Waters several times today. In fact, their last time on this map was from the South Spawn. So shouldn't be anything too shocking about what we're about to see. My expectation is we're going to see one of the Moskvas set up in, what is that, about H1. The other one's going to cling to the island there in about G4. Aussie Zeus is Daring, going to play the bottom edge of the B cap. One of the Marceaus, that's going to, let's see, which Marceau is that? Excuse me, that's Serpent Lord's Marceau, going to race out and try to bag A quickly, while the Doom Snail, that's Shadow Wolfish and Coop, and Floops' Gearing tries to kind of work up the 9 line over there. But let's try and kind of suss out what we think 07 is up to, Zath.
Well, it looks to me like 07 is currently set for a heavy A push. They're sending 4 assets over towards the A cap. They've got a Daring with the Moskva that's Price and Elgar. They're going to work together as a team and pretty much pussyfooted at B, back and forth until they get called off or they secure that cap. And then it looks like we've got Pizza with Ace Baby, Moskva, and the Ohio setting in position there to just kind of kite away as necessary from C caps. I don't think that they're planning on going into C, but with their current forces set up, I think we talked about it in the break. They're going to look for that weakness and they're going to exploit it just like a pack of Raptors would.
Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing a bit of probably a counterclockwise kind of move around this map, as the Doom Snail is going to be basically allowed to take whatever ground they want along the eastern edge, while 07 certainly has the firepower to kind of force the issue here along the western edge. Little bit of early action across the B cap. Some torpedoes coming in for Frice's Daring from down south. Those will miss, although he was radar there for a bit. I think that was Hitaki's radar picking him up, pushing him off the cap. Nothing doing. Now, at A, Serpent Lord's Marceau declined the cap and went way wide. He's over on the 1 line already, Zath.
That's interesting. But, I mean, it kind of makes sense. You typically want to put some sort of a cruiser or a Marceau at a position like that. That's a very strong position because you can use that island to isolate an opponent from everybody else.
True. Well, Serpent Lord backs in a bit, dumps his port torpedoes, and is going to hang over there for a bit. Triarch's Marceau, in the meantime, taking advantage of Serpent's position. He bags the A cap. Aussie Zeus on the bottom end of B. Go ahead.
Dan Loves takes a Gearing torpedo from Pizza. That's going to force a damage control. There it is.
I see it now. I had to look for Danny's position. He's our right flank Ohio over here. Okay, I got it.
That's correct. Yeah, he's
now Triarch. What happened to Triarch? He took a torpedo as well, Zath. Triarch took a Marceau torpedo over here. Yep, those Marceau torpedoes from Serpent Lord. One of those strikes home. Serpent Lord taking some gunfire, but it's the torpedo. Triarch down early.
Yep, and I misspoke earlier. Danny Loves actually did not damage control that flood. He just let it tick because it's 100% repairable. So why not?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like that's something that a lot of more advanced players do. Right? By the time you take basics of survivability and the flood reduction flag, a full duration flood is only what, maybe 40 seconds? It's maybe a little worse than a fire. We let fires burn. Why don't we let flood ticks? It's all 100% healable damage, especially in early stages of a match like this.
It used to be a death sentence. Remember
It
back
used to
when the
be.
old
Oh
yeah.
yeah. It was absolutely death sentence. And I think a lot of people maybe still have their reflexes as, set for that, like, oh, it's a death sentence. But modern
Mhm.
floods in the World of Warships, not quite as extremely awful as they used to be.
Yes, very successful rework there on flooding
In
mechanic.
Absolutely. 5 minutes gone. 07 out to about a 40-point lead. They're ticking up A. KSC ticking up C. Both teams still jockeying for position, fighting over B. I'm a little surprised to see Dastard going all the way to the 1 line, Zath, but look at his position here south of A.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing. Well, there's nothing wrong with it, right? They made it work early. Remember, we've seen KSC in 07 play this map from these spawns before. We saw it yesterday. And we watched Dastard do this. He went around, he went all the way kind of the bottom, straight up the 1 line and smashed John's Des Moines at the time. John the Ruthless's Des Moines was back behind that island in C2. But John's position now very different in a different ship even. I'm not sure. I guess it looks like he's going to trade with man with an RX-7. Dastard now taking that position. RX-7 now kind of headed back towards the east.
Well, I mean, we had that game before where RX-7 just kind of sat there.
Yeah.
So, it's bringing back a little bit of memories from earlier today. But the fact that they're rotating out and swapping positions, I do like it. The big question is, where are they going to put RX-7 now? I think Dastard going up the 1 line makes perfect sense. If that's the case, then I would expect to see Man with an RX-7 head to Foxtrot 3 to cover A-cap as Serpent Lord goes into it, or he goes himself up that the edge of that island and gets into A-cap.
Well, we'll
But
see.
have to see.
RX-7 now coming to port. Looks like he might be taking your suggestion there. B-cap, lots of shells going back and forth. They got some good hits into Hatake. He is a little alone out here. It's just Hatake and Aussie Zeus outnumbered here across the B-cap against Elgar's Moskva, Frice's Daring, and Eagle Lance's Ragnar.
That's correct. Now, Serpent Lord barely dodging some torpedoes from Triarch. Looks like I'm not sure if they spotted him for a bit,
No.
maybe.
No, they're just guessing. They know he's in that general vicinity. There's actually more torpedoes coming in for Triarch, but he's going to dodge those. They ran out of steam just near him anyway.
Yep.
Dastard's push well spotted, although he's behind the island. They don't have eyes on him at the moment, but they certainly know he's there. He took a shot at John's Moskva as he continues to charge up the 1 line.
Look at RX-7.
Yeah.
Where is he going?
I think, Zaf, what they might do is they might bring him in to relieve Hatake. This is something that we didn't see them attempt earlier when they probably ought to have in that match. They narrowly lost to Bonks on this map, right? They have the ability to bring this Moskva in and either potentially put 2 radars on the cap or maybe give Hatake a break, pull him back off the line a little bit and let RX-7 cover things. And now it seems like they've realized they're going to do this. They're going to do this sooner. They've apparently, realizing that last game doing that was a bit of a mistake.
Well, right. But I think, and we talked about this before, the bigger mistake was just leaving A open as long as it was. But
True.
Serpent Lord is now going into A on the account that they've pushed John the Ruthless's Moskva back. Now, RX-7 and Hitake were both detected, so 07 knows that the Moskva that was guarding A has left, so they know that it's only Dastard and the Marceau Serpent Lord in A right now.
Indeed, there comes the radar from John. Yep, that should probably push Serpent Lord off the bottom of the cap for a good 30 seconds or so. They'll chip him for a little bit of damage. He'll race out of range, and then once the radar's down, he'll probably come back.
Sure.
Now, while we've been gabbing, 07 has picked up B, so they're starting to grow their lead there, now out to about 80 points, 9 minutes into this game. I don't know if you noticed that, but the Death Snail is completely broken up over here at C.
Yeah, I was just fixing to kind of comment on that. I'm really not sure why that's happened, but they definitely need to reform themselves if they want to make this into a cohesive unit like we've seen in previous battles.
Serpent Lord taking about 3,000 damage while under the Moskva radar. He's reversing back into the A cap. There he goes.
Yep.
Not much 07's gonna be able to do about that now. A will flip hands momentarily with 07 on about 100-point lead here as we come up near to the halfway mark of the game.
I mean, Eagle Lance is, just long range, 16-kilometer range, just raining down on Hatake.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can do such nasty things with a max range Ragnar. That ship is so good.
What I'm getting at is, at what point do you say this isn't working? At what point do you say, you know what, we gotta move these assets? The static play isn't working for them.
Well, and I think you're starting to see that. Look at Danny Loves' position, right? They've brought Danny all the way over from the C cap. He's not spotted. I'm willing to bet you 07 doesn't quite know where he's at right now. They're bringing RX7 back over to the A cap. They own A cap, Zath, but I'm not sure yet what they're going to do with these ships, but they're obviously making some positional changes here as they're closing the gap on 07.
Well, Dastard is getting into a kite-away position. He just got picked up for a sec, so now 07 knows that he's doing just that. You know, obviously they don't want to overpush. When you push, you trade health for board position. They don't need that board position. There's no need to push and trade that health. So they're expecting 07 to push. Well, that's great. The problem is that while that's going on, if they're able to farm off Atake, because he's once again continuing to be shot at from long range, as soon as he goes down, that hard-earned point gain is almost neutralized. More importantly, there's less pieces on the board to deal with an 07 push across all points. And we saw this last weekend when 07 just or was it yesterday? When 07
yesterday.
Didn't have any, God, like just yesterday.
Yesterday.
When 07 had none of the caps, and they're like, we're fine with this. This is okay. No problem. You know, 3 minutes later.
Yeah, they seem to have brought Danny up to put shells down on Elgar's Moskva. He took a salvo there. He wasn't lit for it, but Elgar has to know where those shells came from and what they mean. So 07 probably has an inkling now that Danny's position over to the east is no longer there, as they are putting some decent damage into Floops. I'm not sure how he quite got spotted. Marin taking one of Floops' torpedoes there back on the beeline.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was a Moskva radar, but we were looking elsewhere as well.
Very well might be, as the gap is narrowed to a little less than 20 points here with 7.5 minutes to play. We're going to have our first lead change here in a bit. KSC pulling Dastard well back off the A cap, leaving Serpent Lord to screen him. Torpedoes going in on Peyton's Ohio. He takes one on the nose.
Yep, that forces a DCP. But the thing is, with Dastard this far south of A, there's really not much to prevent the enemy from pushing in. So I think in the long term, we're just going to see him get farmed. But look at Eagle Lance once again, just holding down left mouse button and not caring.
Nope. There's our lead change, by the way. 7 minutes to play. KSC out to their first lead of the game. Giving ground here at A, but 07 not quite on the cap. 07 has the forces here to get onto the cap, though. By bringing Eagles Ragnar over, they have the potential here to step back onto A and kind of flip back the lead here. They have plenty of time to make that happen because it's only about a 20-point lead here for KSC.
Right. But that lead's going to change soon because Eagle Lance is going to go in. And with RX7 in his current position, he's not in position to stop. So it's really 4 against 2 right now. Danny Loves curling in as well. Dastard now doesn't have the ability to defend A anymore. He's behind the island. That means it's just Serpent Lord, 1 against 4, and he's now detected.
Yep. Eagle Lance was spotted on the surface because 7.5 kilometer detection. When he does that, he pops his radar button to find out who's spotting him. He finds Serpent Lord, and that's when the fight started.
Right. So Serpent Lord is literally by himself, probably calling out, everybody, I need you to shoot Eagle Lances, and everybody's saying, I've got a shot.
No shot. Now, to his credit, 07 has 2 ships on this flank with no shot on Serpent Lord. That's Triarch and Peyton, the island preventing it. But Serpent Lord has to run because Eagle Lance at least has John the Ruthless there for backup, whereas Serpent Lord doesn't have anything. So he buys them a little more time, holds the gap open at about 26 points or so, a little less than 30 points now. 07's going to close that up real quick once they finish bagging A.
Right.
Aussie Zeus at the south side of B, however, looks like he's going to make a play here.
Oh, Coop almost went down right there. Long range fire. Here's Marin shells.
Oh, they've got Coop very low over here on the 10 line.
Oh, yeah, he's dancing. He's doing some serious dancing.
5K and trying to dance, looking for island cover, trying to block line of sight to pieces of Pizza's gearing that's got him lit. He does manage it. He goes dark right there.
Yeah, but that's a very tenuous dark. He doesn't have that big of a... Oh, my goodness.
And it's not like they don't know where he is, as Aussie does finally step onto B. That prompts the radar from Elgar. Nope, no radar from Elgar. My apologies. I made an assumption.
Yeah, I don't think that Elgar's radar is ready just yet.
We're under 5 minutes now. KSC on a 20-point lead, flipping B, playing a very tight game of control here with 07, who have proven themselves in tournaments past to be very good at that kind of game.
Yeah, and look at how close they're getting to Aussie with blind shots.
Yeah, they know approximately where he is.
Also, notice how 07 has completely left A now, other than putting John the Ruthless there as a tripwire Moskva with his radar.
Aussie's lit. John the Ruthless's radar is going to pick up Aussie. Are they going to be able to reset him in time? The answer is yes. Yes. Just barely.
Wow.
They are able to just barely bag the reset. But by burning John's radar, that will allow Serpent Lord back in if he wants. Nope, he's lit and taking fire over on the 3 line. He's not going to be able to get into that cap.
Well, that brilliant positioning by that Moskva, getting both caps covered as a result.
We're under 4 minutes to play. There's 10 points between these teams, Zath. 07 is about to steal the lead back as both teams go over 900. And they're farming out Marin's Ohio over here on the 9 line. That single kill could be the difference in the game if they can get it.
Coop is still under fire. They know exactly where he is, and 07's
they can see him now. He's lit. They can see him.
Yes.
But Marin getting very low. You know they're all calling for focus fire on Marin. Under 7K. Yep. That kill will give KSC a win in game 1 when they get it, potentially. He's healing.
Coop no longer detected.
Coop is dark. Torpedoes are going to miss. 3K
Marin
for Marin.
Is still alive.
Still alive, but still falling. Booster shells coming in. They're going to get him right. Oh, the heel ticks keep coming. He takes a blind shot on Coop and gets Coop down to 2,400. Marin's on 900 and falling.
342.
He's going to go out, and that's the game. There it is.
The game. Almost the game.
The lead changes, Zath, and unless 07 gets a kill right now, they have seconds to do it. KSC's going to win game 1.
Wow.
And they don't.
There it is.
They don't get it. 07 comes within seconds of victory, unable to keep Marin's battleship on the board. He is the only casualty of the game. A flawless victory for KSC. A very tight board control game that they actually manage to out kind of control 07 on.
Yeah, what a fight.
So one of the things that we should probably maybe have prepared viewers for over the course of all our gum flapping before we got here is that we've seen some battles up to today, Bonks, KSC, lots of death, lots of dismemberment, lots of destruction. But when you fight 07, you generally tend to find yourself in much more technical board control games. 07 very rarely risks a ship it doesn't have to risk or give you a shot it doesn't have to. So games with them tend to go a little longer, and they tend to be very much more board control technical kind of matches.
Right. But think about how close that was, right? All it took was one more penetration for Coop to go down.
Yep.
And all of a sudden now, 07 can find another kill someplace else, and there's life left in this battle. So
very much so.
What a close finish.
Let's go back to the analyst studio and see how Bogsy and Ensconce are doing here now that game 1 is in the books.
Literally coming down to a kill. There was 2,000 points on I Am Coop's Des Moines. There was about 2,000 points on Marin's Ohio. It was just ticking back and forth. There was shots going everywhere. It was that close. A kill for either side would have basically guaranteed a victory, and it literally came down to that. That's how good these two teams are.
200 meters of distance between a gearing stepping into C-cap and blocking it 2 points away from a win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you guys remember we saw yesterday, we saw 07 and Bonks play a game on this map. that came down to literally who could kill whose weak ship first
Right.
to get those points to kill. This game felt like that. The difference is that Marin was lit and Coop wasn't.
And what
Coop
a
able to
blind
go
shot
dark.
from Marin, by the way.
Even the blind shot landed some hits, but it wasn't quite enough.
That's right.
Right.
So, I mean, just really an extraordinary game to be able to watch something that close. I think it's worth noting. 07 played basically a flawless game. I did not see a single mistake except possibly just the charge at the end by Marin, but I think that was instigated by torpedoes from the gearing. Am I wrong?
It looked like
Okay.
it. Yeah, he was dodging the torpedoes, and that kind of forced him down that path, right?
I think so, yes.
Which forced him into commitment to the push, which nearly worked out still. 07 playing basically a flawless game as we would expect them to. Even that early torpedo hit on Triarch, bringing his Marceau down to 8,000, was not enough to actually force them out of that cap. They controlled the A cap for like the entire game.
It was
Right.
it was funny, right? In the pregame battle chat in the training room, both teams were talking about which team's destroyers were going to eat more torpedoes, because you can't you just at this level of play that's what the expectation is.
Flip a coin.
Flip a coin.
Right.
So Askance, sorry, gentlemen, we're gonna give you a little break. We're gonna talk about this map. We got the replay ready, so we're gonna go to that. We'll see you for the next game.
See you in a few.
All right, let's go.
So while the replay is loading, I just want to point out to everybody, this is the finals. This is not going to be a big flashy ball of fire, guns blazing, everything. This is going to be a battle of tension. This is going to be position and slow working. Now, I spoke about before, KSC is not going to win in long trades, and I don't think they did in this one. I think it was small things that were able to somehow work out for them, but if it comes down to 07 getting in their positions and just trading it out with KSC, we did notice that KSC lost more health over the period of time than 07 did. It's just that the push came a little late and they weren't able to recover. Now, if we go ahead,
example, if I may, perfect example of what Askance is talking about right now. The Moskva of Itaki Hiyoshi versus the Moskva of I don't remember who the Moskva in the center at B was. It was basically a trade. Yoshi was always taking shots from one of the DDs, from the Moskva. He was always on fire. He just got out-traded. That's what 07 does. They are excellent at blind firing. They are excellent at making sure every single shot counts.
Yeah, because they're going to know what target they want to move off the board. And if that's going to be the target, they're going to rotate assets in. They're going to have, if they're going to pick a target, they're going to pick a target that they're bringing multiple ships worth of gunfire into. And we even saw there was a rotation done by the Moskva over on H1, pulled back just to help Yoshi. Like, hey, shoot at me for a little bit or something, please. Just pull the fire off of this guy. And that's really what it did. It was a holding action. And right there, we see the Marceau of Triarch was able to take A. He took that torp hit. Now, that did a few things. That stopped his ability to play aggressively if he wanted to, because if he had the health, he could have aggressively been respotting that Marceau, aggressively forcing shots from the Moskva of John the Ruthless over into, I think that was, nope, can't think of it, Serpent Lord, actually. He could have been trying to brawl down that front line so that their Moskva, Ohio, would have been able to begin to wrap. Because if we look at this right now, you're going to kind of see a V shape where 07 is above the A, B, and C caps. Ideally, when you're taking position, you're going to be taking position almost in a line straight across the board. So if they were able to outtrade the Marceau and start moving in, maybe have a Marceau that could threaten the Kremlin through a YOLO, they can start moving up, express through A, and try to get some crossfire. But they were denied that option because they just didn't have the health to force it. Here is where you see them forcing it. The Ohio has come over. The Ragnar is no longer playing with a Moskva in mid, moving over to A. They're going to forcefully claim it. This is ours. So at this point, it's coming down to Charlie. Why? Because the Ohio of KSC has moved off of the C flank, moved over to bolster the AB, even though they don't hold those caps right now, meaning that the Ohio for 07 is pushing in, trying to make plays, going after that Des Moines, getting him extremely low, but she's getting closer to a Worcester, getting closer to a Des Moines, taking shots from a Moskva, just not going to hold out. That's going to be the points. And you can see that gearing almost able to reach out an arm to stop that cap, but unable
would have stopped
to do
the
it.
Clock, by the way.
It would have.
Yeah. So very close. Really astounding play by both. It's worth to note, I think, on that map where KSC seems to struggle on Northern Waters. They have a little bit of an issue because they tend to not take decisive action. And I'm gonna just say it. I think the decisive action was also not taken in this match. They moved the Kremlin all the way out, then up, then all the way back down, then back up. The Moskvas were going all over the place. It was not a decisive, we're going to put these things in the places where they're most useful and leave them there. It was very interesting. But at the same time, I think that is also what netted them the win. They were willing to move around and adapt and change, and it just worked out enough. They did not try to 2v1 the Moskva of 07 in the center. They didn't try to...
left brain, right brain, just like you were talking about.
They literally moved... They moved the daring of Aussie Zeus down to just give Yoshi a few seconds of smoke cover, 40 seconds of smoke cover, so he could reposition, rather than have him constantly down in that by the island on the south side of B to just back in and constantly force that radar over and over and over again. They were all over the place adapting, and it worked out in the sense that they were given the opportunities to push it to that high of a score, 940 on each side, which literally just brings it down to a kill. And 07 realizing we must step on C in order to prevent being capped out. And that forced the movement of the Ohio, who is healthy. But again, a Wooster is just so powerful with that DPM. So incredibly well played by both teams. It was great to see. We're moving on to Trap. Talk to us about Trap.
So Trap, as you pointed out several times, kind of has that not horizontal, not vertical, but it's got that sideways, diagonal crossing, which means there's going to be a lot of space between the caps. Now, there's space between the caps on other maps as well, sure, but it's usually maybe a grid square, maybe a little less than that. It just starts to fan out so much that destroyer play, mobility, going to be very important on this map. We've seen people reaching for the Burgone. Why? Because the Burgone is very fast. It can start to take flanks and be in positions before other ships are able to get there. We might see some Burgone play. Probably going to see some Marceau play. Again, fast. That's going to be the goal. Kleber is taken out for the entire tournament. Marceau's going to be the pick there. Ragnar has its afterburner, and kick on the super stuff and try to make that happen. But Marceau's going to be the leader in that, even though I still expect them to be paired up because we're just seeing Ragnar match after match after match. It's really capable at what it does. The big question here is, how do they sweep through A? How do they claim space? How do they sweep into C? Bravo is going to be a staring contest. It's going to be two really big radar ships and possibly some DDs doing some dancing. It's going to be about the flanks and how they resolve. So the question is, do they pick really, really heavy Russian cruisers that they can just bow tank, deal with it, push it, make it happen? Or are we going to see KSC going with the smoke?
To say.
Okay.